nachos, amigos, and welcome to Record Breakers, a music podcast where a group of friends gather together to share music with each other, an album at a time. It's like a little book club, but instead it's for music. I'm PD Rave, and here with me is my squad, my crew, my team, my squadron, my quorum. We've got David.
Look in my eyes, what do you see? The cult of personality.
We've got Brett.
Actually, I was gonna say something about. I was going to mouth noise the beginning to sell out, but I'm instead not going to. I again have a dash, one measurement of a dash. That is my prop for today. It's a dash.
A dash.
You hit the D key 2 times, and you get this.
Exactly. And of course we've got Drew.
Look, I'm going to keep doing the show, but I would like to be provided with an ice cream bar. If not, in like 7 years, I'm going to go to the other podcast about this.
Yes. We're going to go to Coverville. I don't know.
Yes, you and Brian Ibbett are going to be talking about everybody's favorite
This can't be the
cover.
only podcast of this damn cult collective that's a music podcast.
There's one I found. It's more hip hop oriented, called No Skips.
Yeah.
Well, I thought you were gonna say I'm a fix.
That's
Wolves.
No, that one.
I miss I'm a fix Wolves. I still have the unassailable playlist, and I do
it too. I don't know why. I don't know why I need to listen to Dwick, but sometimes I have to listen to Dwick or the DMX.
Have we talked about Vince Staples in this show?
I don't think so.
Damn. But that's neither here nor there. That's for the future.
We're here to talk ska, the furthest thing from.
We're here to talk about music. We're here to talk about an album. We're going to talk about an album provided by Drew. Drew, what have you brought for us this week?
It's a band I found thanks to a playlist from Jer Ska-tune Networks famed Jer. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Jer.
Yeah, Jer or something. Like that.
I've never heard it said out loud. But they made a playlist, and that playlist had a bunch of new ska bands and new ska albums, and this was one of them. It was Kill Lincoln's Can't Complain.
Mm-hmm. Let's talk about expectations. David, what expectations did you have coming into this album?
My expectations were something that would be bouncy, have a few good riffs, have some pretty fun brass sounds, some horns, if you will. And usually with a ska-punk album, it usually starts going, and then I feel like it's gone too quickly. I feel like it's just about done once I really start getting into it. And then I feel a little deflated because you're only here for 25 minutes, guys. Come on.
Brett, what expectations did you have coming to this album?
I was unaware that they made this these days. I thought that if you wanted this, you had to go to the people who were making it back when it was new. Well, not new. This thing. This harkens back to a certain time and place that I don't know that could have this could have been described to me fully for me to like experience all of what it gave to me, because this is not like I heard that it was going to be a ska record, but I didn't know how much this was going to be like a trip back to 2000 and like the CD sleeves in my car. And I'm like, well, everybody likes ska, so let's put some Less Than Jake on. Like,
Yeah.
Bouncing Souls, who's got a voodoo glow skull? Here's the Aquabats.
Yeah.
Like, nobody gets mad at this.
I definitely saw this album get recommended when Jer mentioned the album specifically, and I believe I saw that thread that they put of, like, it's like, hey, people say that nobody's making ska nowadays. Here's a thread of bands making ska nowadays on Twitter, and then and of course I already had it saved on my Spotify. I was thinking about bringing it in if Drew hadn't.
Don't get me wrong. Ska never left. I left ska.
Yes, exactly. And I was looking forward to, because I listened to it then a little bit just to know that, okay, this would be a thing I would want to bring in, and then I was excited to just go back and listen to it again. And yeah, I was looking forward to the, not just this album, but the discussion of, like, hey, there's, go seek out music if you're desperately wanting it. To spoil the thesis of this podcast, at least for me.
They continue to have high school band nerds that need something to do with their skill.
Exactly. Drew,
I might have something for those kids in a couple of weeks.
Drew, how would you describe this album musically?
Well, we kind of said it. This band, by ska band standards, is new. Like Brett said, this particular sound is something that's more known for bands that started in the early to mid 90s. Your Mustard Plugs, Suicide Machines, Less Than Jake, stuff like that. This is sort of what that harkens back to in a lot of ways. But they started in 2009 in DC, which I think at times it never gets into full DC hardcore like territory.
Straight edge. That's all I could think of. DC. It's not Judge and Gorilla Biscuits hardcore, but like you get a little bit of that, twinge, a little bit of that, like, oh, okay, like obviously these guys grew up in like the DC punk scene to a certain degree, but it's a ska band, and they have the things that when I go to ska, I want a lot of. The horns are perfect. They're on point. It's not just, some ska bands can get into the, hey, we're the horns, so we're going to play like a root note or like an arpeggio during the chorus or something like that. But like the horns in this are like integral, in my opinion, to the entire thing. There's a lot of movement and a lot of melody to them, which I really, really dig. It was 2009 when they started, and I remember hearing about them when I was still playing this genre, as it were. But it's something that, like, this kind of stuff was what, like, was interesting to me around that time, and it's just getting better. This album, I think a lot too, it came out last year. We all know what was happening in the midst of last year. Still, man, that GPU shortage was tough.
Yeah.
GPU shortage, yes.
I mean,
it was
it's
really
not
hard.
good. It isn't good.
I'm being facetious.
But
still, it wasn't.
We all
good.
know that making bread was the horror that we all lived through.
Oh man, sourdough.
Shout out to Patrick.
I would eat sourdough any day of the week, but it's something that this album deals with at times, which a ska band that can deal with more interesting stuff lyrically, I'm always going to be down with. Look, I like Real Big Fish. Sometimes I want my ska bands to say something like they did back when they were making ska in Jamaica.
The cats with two heads. You know, you got to cover it with your ska.
Don't do it, Petey. Don't do it. Don't do it.
I mean, it's the important stuff that they came from Aquabania. It's the stories. But yes,
Wait,
you're right. Ska does not normally cover things that are deep. It covers the red sweater with an alligator on it.
It's ska-punk in the 90s became known for a thing, and there were bands that tried to, like, hey, you know, like, reggae sort of thing because ska was saying that thing before it.
No.
Because ska was like, hey, we're gonna do this, and then people were like, hey, give me some ska. Give me some ska is what they said. But also, just to put a fine point on it, the other thing I like about this, and it happens with a lot of punk. Now Petey gets what we're talking about. But what we get with a lot of like punk and ska and this style of music these days is that making decent sounding records became way cheaper after like 2005. Like mics and interfaces and software made making a record that didn't sound like you were playing it into a cassette deck was achievable for people that maybe weren't making $1 million studio money. And I'm glad that it did, because this type of album is exactly what I love, and I want it to not sound like garbage, and this doesn't, and it makes me happy.
$1 million ska albums, probably count them on 2 fingers.
Yeah. David, how would you describe this album musically?
Well, for one, to Drew's point, I did enjoy the fact that lyrically this album was interesting. It had some things that it was trying to say, and I thought that was pretty cool. Also, the vocalist did not have that nasally pop punk voice that I can't stand. So that's like 2 things right there that really grabbed my attention. The horns and the guitars complemented each other very well. Lots of really good pre-chorus bits all over this album. There's some riffs that are danceable because, yes, the ska kids do like to dance. They have their thing, and it's wonderful, and I hope they never stop. And it does sound very good. It doesn't even sound like it was just recorded on some dude's laptop. It actually sounds decently good. You can hear everything. Even in the bigger, more dense moments, you hear the horns and the guitars working well with one another. And not even one of my favorite bands of the last few years, Thank You Scientist, can pull that off very often. So well done on that part. Everything about this is pretty well done, well produced, well sung, well played. Yeah.
Brett, how would you describe this album musically?
It has callbacks to ska, but very, like, I would say callbacks go to a pretty narrow slice, which is kind of what like blew me away. Because the vocal affectation of like post like early 2000s, almost like into the emo kid vocal, like the vowels, the way the vowels work, was kind of shocking. It's not quite anime theme tune like pop punk vocals, but there's definitely like the going on. Lots of woes. There's woes upon woes. If you need harmonies, they've got them, but they got them in the way of punk rock music of that era. It's ska. That's what you show up for. But what I found a little bit unsettling was how extremely clean and raw sounding the horns were. Like, it almost sounded like there was a tale of 2 albums. There was like the recording quality of a regular, like your Furies of the Aquabats and stuff. Like you hear that, the vocals and all that stuff mixed in, but you have like this room noise or something, like this like very like the horns come in at a quality and at a level too in the mix that like they did not make that the same like as I used to, which was neat, like, because you could hear everything going on. You could hear air moving. Like it was almost like they did a better job of recording this in frequencies that they don't normally throw them in, like into the mix. It was kind of interesting, and that's just the horns. They got other things going on here. And like, yeah, lyrics, not my department normally, but I will tell you, not one song about an alien girlfriend, not one song about working fast food, and selling out so that you don't have to work fast food. Not quite that kind of thing. It's definitely, while it's something obviously derivative, like these are narrow genres, punk rock and ska both. Like you're borrowing from somebody because there's only so many tools in the toolbox. But this is different. There's definitely lyrically it's different. The way that they use the horns is different. It's not just like a brass harmony or hits on the with the drum fills. It's they're doing more than that. And also, I would say back in the day when you'd hire somebody to play guitar for a ska band, you were going from like, okay, who can play punk rock but knows how to work the upstroke and can keep time, and who knows how to who knows how to play with a keyboard, was kind of your thing. Not hey, who wants to do some like cartoon shreds? Who wants to just sit here and do like finger tapping in my ska band?
Not a lot of James Hetfield down picking.
Yeah, I was like, why would that? Yeah, the sweeps. That was like, they're like, this is not one of these things. It does not sound like the rest of these things, and I thought that was kind of neat. And you can say the same thing with the bass guitar. In fact, I will when we get into songs.
Yeah, this has a familiar energy, familiar sound elements with pulling from ska punk from certain eras and certain bands, but it has a newer energy. It has high energy. It has a really great energy as well, and it comes through really well in the music. In the way that the horns are utilized, like has been said, the way that the guitar work is utilized is really fantastic. The main thing is that it's modern in those sensibilities of like it's speaking on the here and now on lyrically. It is like the continuation of what's been happening in ska and ska punk. And it's well produced, it's well executed, it sounds clean and nice, and it's tight, and it has a lot of really cool like touches, and it has different it explores different like variations on like doing the ska punk thing. Yeah, and also it is just a neat, tidy, quick little album. And like, what is it? Like the runtime is 20-something minutes. How long? Like,
yeah, I was like, guys, you just got here.
Yeah,
I think it's
29 minutes and 20 seconds on Spotify.
Just under 30. Yep.
Yeah, just under 30 minutes. It's like, man, and it's a good problem to have. Like, I want more. You're left wanting more, but it's still like, man, it'd be dope if we had like 2 or 3 more like 2-minute songs. Like, yeah, but
do a cover of like Last Caress or something.
Yes.
That's isn't that what you do on like albums like this? You do a cover, put something on the back.
Yeah, something like that. Have a little thing at the end. But I think the key thing is that that's a product of it. You just are feeling the energy of the album. It works fantastic, and you just want more. Yeah, let's talk about those tracks. Let's talk about some of the key tracks. Drew, what would be some of the key tracks to zero in on?
Well, doing the thing I always do. Greetings from Inner Space. The way the horn line builds in the start, the little bit of feedback in the horn build up, almost sounding like coming out of a radio at first and it's being cranked up. That tonality and that feel is the stuff that makes me wish I was still working in studios and like recording bands and stuff like that, because those discussions and how that comes about is usually the most fun moments in a studio, because it's not like we have to play this over and over to get it right and blah, 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 like to get every note exactly right and stuff like that. It's, nah, what can we do that'll make it sound weird? And then right in the upstrokes and skanking and all the things I love about ska music.
Whoa,
like
terms
right
of service.
I know we're still. Can I say skank on Twitch? Is that a thing?
Hey, you pick that up.
Can I back up and do it? Like, can I show the audience my skank?
Yeah.
You know what?
PD.
Like, this is not the home for that. But
all right, PD, hit the music. Give me some reggae.
God.
Let me hit the. I got it right here. I got. That's what you guys were talking about, right? Yeah, that.
Yep, perfect.
Okay.
Awesome.
God, I hate that.
Ignorance is bliss. Going into like a more like bass sort of do sort of punk tune. Those drums, and the horns, a little less important in this one. A little bit more just pushing the chorus, but like it's the tone you're going for with a song like this. It's a little bit more angry punk rock, which I'm here for. Well spent waste. It's a whoa 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 fist in the air like moshy song. I love those. I'm a sucker. I'm easy to please in that way. If I can go whoa while like being bounced around in a pit, I'm probably too old for that, and it'll hurt my back. But
the pit.
Yeah.
Remember when we used to go into those gross messes of like stinky bodies?
Look, man, like it's one of the things I hate most about.
I'm keeping up my gym membership, fellas.
Hating the pandemic for making me see that and think like I shouldn't go in there. But also, and then can't complain. I didn't know a fight song about mental health, like a let's fight the power to like give ourselves like better like self-care. I didn't know that was a thing that I needed, but it's definitely a thing that I could use in 2021. I think I speak for a lot of people when I say that.
Yeah.
And it was a great way to end the album. Also ending the album with the title track. Bold move, but it worked.
Yeah. David, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Who am I this time? Well, last time I checked, I'm me. I'm still David. But this song has some interesting lyrics going on. It's a bit abstract, but it works in sort of a contemporary way as well. Also, there's a saxophone solo, and as I always say, in the words of Anthony Carboni, put a saxophone in every song, you cowards. Do it. Also, Confession Obsession shows that this band is not afraid to play fast, which is cool. And you can visualize kids, the youths, at a show enjoying this song. Maybe if you're in your 30s and you've kept yourself in decent shape, you can do it, and you've got your mask on. But this is mostly for the youths. Also, Civil Surgery. This is one of those times on the album where I heard a little bit of the previously mentioned Thank You Scientist, with the riffs having some continuity with the horn section that worked really well. It was pretty solid, and I really liked the breakdown on that song too, Civil Surgery.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what would be some of the key tracks for you?
Well, as a big fan of the Dennis Quaid Martin short vehicle Interspace, the first track made me think about, man, I need to go watch Interspace, which a ska album like inspiring me to watch a Martin Short movie about going through the body of a hypochondriac as a miniature of Dennis Quaid, kind of like your sewer shark, but Dennis Quaid. It's pretty awesome. Thank you. Well spent, wasted. Again, this is they didn't put guitar solos on albums like this in this way back in the day. Civil Surgery. I mean, Civil Surgery. If you can find a way to like mentally isolate the bass guitar, which is kind of nuts because there's a lot more. There are a lot of voices in this album that cover what you're hearing, the waves going into your brain. But the way that the bass sort of hangs out at the bottom end and sort of has this like groove that it follows, this little like this little lick that it plays, really like it fattens things up in a way, and it does things that like it could totally just not be there. It could be replaced with somebody like playing an organ and just using the foot bars or holding a note on the root. You could get away with doing something that fills that like sonic job, and then just have the bass guitar doing your replacement level bass guitaring. But if you're gonna have a bass guitar on a ska album, like probably want to get one that you can use to effect, and they pulled that off with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you guys had some good solid choices. I would say I would pick out Last Ditch Denial has just it has just a good like punch to it and a good energy to it. Civil Surgery, I believe, is a success where the breakdown where the horns come in with like there's like this like odd like fun thing with the horns that's just like is not just a jumpy melody. But it fit the tone of the song, the emotional tone of the song, and was just a fantastic like so thing to kind of zero in on that like little horn solo. Can't Complain closing the album with the title track, and which I think works great as like the album's thesis lyrically in particular, and kind of just like wraps up the album really well, and with a nice little tight song. Let's bring it back around the horn and talk about some conclusive thoughts. David, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
I want to say to them, you guys just got here. Stay a while. Do 45 minutes. Do an hour. Like, seriously, you just got here. I don't know what constitutes ska or punk. All I know is that the 29 minutes this album gave us, I really enjoyed. Kind of came and went, though. I absolutely would have been okay with more. I think all of the traits and tropes of the genre were done very tastefully and done very well. And again, compliment to the singer for not trying to sound like he's 15. Big win on that one.
Yes.
And I would say this is a good, albeit short listen.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what would be your conclusion on this album as a whole?
I mean, if you're into this stuff, you know that you're into this stuff. If you're not, you know that you aren't. It's pretty simple. It's if you want to listen to a modern take on one of these, this is this is better than what you should expect normally. This is overperforming expectations for, hey, I got some modern ska. So take that for what you will.
It's overperforming a lot of what a lot of people's expectations of a modern ska would be, but to hopefully set new expectations, so at least for some people. There's some really great bands to listen to out there, and I think the Kill Lincoln is a great showcase for that. This album is a really fantastic showcase of that. Like David has said, it's almost it does leave you wanting more. Like I want more, and it probably is also like a logistical thing. When they finally were looking to put it out, was after they were probably unable to start be recording in studio and things like that. So that probably had a limiting factor on what they could record. But I'm hoping it has me looking forward to more. It has me looking forward to more albums in the future, more singles, more music from them. And it is a nice introduction to them in particular. So I think a lot of people will probably not be converted, but I think
give it a shot, you dorks.
Give it a shot. Give it a shot. I think it'll
sorry, everybody.
Please
PD's
a lot of
much
people.
nicer than I am. PD's nicer than I am. I'm sorry. I apologize. I didn't mean to call you dorks. I'm sorry.
Yes. But yeah, give it a shot. Give it a chance. It is a really, really nice record, and it's an easy listen. It's an easy recommend to anybody looking to listen to some punk, some ska, or some pop punk, or all of the
reggae.
above.
Look, I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
The fuck?
Yeah.
Sorry. Trying to be nice.
But yeah, Drew. Last but not least, what is your conclusion on this album as a whole?
Muted.
Yeah.
The first words out of my mouth were, "I'll say this." So apparently, no, I won't. The playlist that was put together by Jer. Again, I'm gonna have to actually get them saying it out loud for me to know for sure. But they made a good playlist. I'm probably going to be pulling other bands off of that. This was a band that's in that playlist that's a little, I would say, closer to the ska I've brought before, while giving enough new that I thought it would be an interesting talk. They're an interesting band, Kill Lincoln, and this is no different. It's something that if there was an album that was put out that maybe has been joked on before the title of, but if this is the shape of ska to come, I'm in for it. I'm cool with it. This isn't. There are some ska bands that came out later on that were sort of a parody into themselves at times. I played alongside them in our local scene. Your scommunists and all that sort of stuff. These guys aren't. They're putting out stuff that is definitely worth a listen. So I'd suggest it.
Yes.
It's a good time.
So it's not a ska band made of all Ned Flanderses.
Yeah.
No.
It's
Okay.
good enough that it doesn't need a gimmick.
Exactly.
Hey, there's ska gimmicks are some of my favorite gimmicks. Like, let me tell you, but it doesn't need it.
Ska gimmicks are weird sometimes.
Real ska, no gimmicks.
And there's only one guy in like a dress shirt and a pork pie hat.
Exactly.
So there's that.
Good ratio. Yes. Those are our thoughts on Kill Lincoln's Can't Complain. We certainly can't complain. I think that's the conclusion.
I can't complain about how good this record.
Exactly. Put it in the back of the box. Put it in the back of the jewel case.
Their trombone, can we get a gliss going? Wah, wah.
But yeah, now we get to the main event of the evening, the moment we've all been waiting for.
Knits and grits.
Where we do our haiku reviews, where we sum it all up in poetic form with the 575.
The biscuits and gravy.
Exactly.
Oh man, I could use biscuits and gravy.
B's and G's.
It's 11:30 at night.
There's always time for B's and G's.
Exactly.
We have
Say that on
KFC
Twitch.
We have KFC on our It's cool.
Nice. Yeah. Let's get down to the nitty gritty. Haikumuro numero uno. David, what is your haiku?
It was way too short. Ska, without being whiny, would listen again.
Mm-hmm. Brett, what is your haiku?
Upstrokes. Lots of horns. Pick it up. Pick it up. Whoa. Oh. Ah, whoa. Oh.
Sorry.
Whoa.
I'm sorry, Brett.
Ah, whoa. Oh is a pattern of woeing that I have woed in the past. I don't know if it's the exact woe pattern that is here or whether it's from a Chevy pickup truck commercial. But woes as musical the thing is forever immortalized in my poetry.
Brett, can I get that one more time, please?
Upstrokes. Lots of horns. Pick it up. Pick it up. Whoa, oh, ah, whoa, oh.
Okay.
I just made an AFI record while we were watching.
My haiku, high energy tunes, emotion and thought throughout. Ska's not dead, you fools. Now, last but not least, Drew, what is your haiku?
Well, I want to start out by saying that Todd Anthony Shaw was not on this record. It was not too short.
Biatch.
Oh.
That was a reference.
There you go. There's your laugh track.
Older rappers. 6 dudes.
I could have said a bunch of things that were way more unreasonable. Sorry, go do your poetry.
Live on
you
Twitch.
brought up
Don't
too
you
short
dare.
and it ruined my.
We are on Twitch. Don't you dare.
Okay.
Oh, man.
Kicked out of my brain.
Not on Twitch.
I'm gonna blow the whistle later. 6 dudes from DC. Instead of hardcore music, bringing lots of horn.
Mm-hmm. And those are all our thoughts on Kill Lincolns Can't Complain. You can, of course, find it on our Spotify playlists. Play Record Breakers, the home game. Do your due diligence, as it were. You have the 2 playlists on our show notes. We have one with the episodes kind of like slotted in as appropriate, and one without. So you can kind of like binge one, kind of do it at your own pace. Yeah, so go check it out. Also on that Spotify playlist, because I double checked, is going to be next week's record, and we're going to have a guest. We're going to have the 5th record breaker.
Too short.
Is it really a guest when it's...
it's close enough. We're going to have...
He's sitting in.
Matthew Walton.
He's born to Mac, some would say.
Exactly. We're going to have old Matthew Walton, a.k.a. Squiggles, a.k.a. Squiggles McGee. He's going to bring an album from the venerable Chick Corea. We're going to be doing My Spanish Heart.
A Korean album.
A Korea album. Korea
We're doing
Chick.
a Korea pop podcast.
Yes, we're doing Korea Chick.
No, that's the other black guy. God damn it.
The other one. There's only 2 of you?
Yes, the other.
I mean, this is Diamond Club.
Audio listeners are going to be shocked to find out David is black.
This is Fat Realm.
Wait, hold on. There's Curtis. There's Kaz.
Yeah, sure.
There's
like I said.
Who's the representative from Atlanta that I'm thinking of?
Adeolu.
Him.
Yes.
I haven't talked to him.
Adeolu Adebayo.
Talked to.
Who I want to talk about. I want to see if he can introduce me to his cousin Bam.
Wait, for real?
I don't know. They just have the same last name. I'm making a joke. That would be awesome if they were related. but I don't know if I could ask. Like, are you? Like,
I think you just did.
Yeah, that's true.
Just clip this episode and send it to him.
Yes, exactly. Yeah, look forward to that next week. But that'll be next week, and this is this week. And speaking of sounds from my soundboard, let's hit the music. You can of course find us all over the internet. David is at Call Me DJM. Brett is at Hippity Bear Bird HIPBI2YPI Drew is at Extrusive for X. I'm at PD Rave. The show's at 4 Record Breakers. That's the number 4 Record Breakers, like 4 horsemen. Rebelli.net for this and other shows. That's we're gonna also have the show notes. RecordBreakersPodcast.com is the specific show site for our show. This one. Be sure to follow Rebelli TV on Twitch as we do a multitude of streams, including Through the Tomes, our D&D show, Real Play podcast /show. This show, Record Breakers, a music podcast. And of course, we do Space Truckin' with me, Brett, and Daisy playing the Starbound. And I do PD Plays Fridays, PD Plays series where I do single player campaign games on a weekly basis. Nowadays, I'm doing Mass Effect. This Friday, if you're watching live, I will be diving into the missions in Vermeer. Looking forward to that. It's going to be really cool to come dive into that and follow through on that game. Mass Effect is my favorite game series. I love it. But yeah, follow the channel, subscribe to the YouTube, same name, like, share, do all the calls to action. Until next time, hasta los huevos.
Here comes the witch.
Straight Edge came back.
Toodaloo.
Rebelli Podcast, baby. Are you saying fighting there?
Yeah, fighting. Like fight-all.
That one.
As a avid StarCraft fan, I knew exactly what he was going for. It's fine.
Diamond Club hopes you have enjoyed this program.